Elon Musk appears to have pulled back a little bit from his direct involvement in DOGE, but despite him not being around, it's still making fools out of itself on a daily basis. And so we need to give a little bit of an updated look at some of the savings that DOGE has produced for the American taxpayer that turns out, oops, it was never actually savings at all. Because we already know we're nowhere close to the $2 trillion he promised, and then he promised $1 trillion. And now it's like $160 billion, except oops, it's actually gonna cost tens of billions of dollars to hire back the people we accidentally fired. Ignore all that for now. But we do have that list of the DOGE cut programs, cut contracts. Remember, that was part of his promise to be the most transparent ever. You could go on this website and see all of the savings that we got. Well, it turns out that dozens of those contracts were not actually cut at all. They were just added to the list to make it seem as if money was being saved. And in this case, we have to give credit to the New York Times for investigating, following up on some of these individual contracts. So they identified 44 what they call revived contracts that had been said to be cut, but it turned out had actually been renewed, but still left on the list by DOGE as if the cuts had happened. 43 of those 44 were still on the wall of receipts as of last week. Then late Sunday, DOGE deleted those claims for 31 of the contracts, eliminating $122 million of the savings it had claimed to achieve. 12 of them they still left on there, even after the New York Times confirmed that they had not actually been cut, and they told DOGE that, and then DOGE cut some of them. DOGE's like, nah, I still want to pretend that we saved some money though. So $121 million of pretend savings that doesn't actually exist is still on there. That's been identified. One of them is a Department of Veteran Affairs. A contract was $108 million. So again, the same day they did those deletions, by the way, they added 800 new entries that they claim save about $5 billion. And maybe they do, I don't know. New York Times, please get on those. Of course, when they blanket it with 800, it takes a lot longer to check than the 44. So maybe it'll take a month or two before we find out that there's no actual savings there. But again, nobody's really surprised by this. Elon Musk seems to have moved on. And why wouldn't he? He's already done whatever weird stuff he's done in the code. He's helped to ensure more contracts for himself. He's cracked down on some of his competitors. I don't know what there would be left for him to do with these government computers, Sharon. What do you think?
If they can help bring more Afrikaans who are being oppressed in South Africa here, that he's working on other things, I'm sure. Listen, this is part of their gimmick too. Nobody reads the failing New York Times or whatever. They don't respect the media enough to take off things. It's a little distraction game. Now go play. Now go investigate this. Split up the work and look through this stuff like you're doing a class action lawsuit. He's fine with it. He gave you the number, and MAGA's going to eat it up, and that's what they do. They're only following his social media, his tweets and things. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we'll do more coverage of this. It seems like a lot of it has really wound down though, and the thing about it reminds me of like the migrant thing, where like they're like there is this massive problem and we're gonna fix it, and then they get like bupkis. Why? In the case of the migrants, because there are not actually thousands and thousands of Salvadoran murderers roaming the streets or whatever. So it's actually hard to track them down. And they try to fool you by getting regular people that haven't committed any crimes and just calling them terrorists. In this case, what did they do? So they got a couple of like $20,000 grants for a transgender opera or whatever. So they got rid of that. That represents 0.000001% of federal spending. So I'm glad that was killed. And but then it seems even crazier in this case that they can't find actual savings, because you and I both know that there is actually a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. So why are they failing? Because they can't go after the actual waste, fraud, and abuse, because that's wasted money that goes to defense contractors and to oil companies, and to like those people paid for Trump to get into office. You're not gonna kill their contracts. So what can you do? You can go after the transgender comic books. That's what you can do. And then that's it. And then once you tap out the very limited amount of DEI spending or whatever, well, then you're pretty much done at that point. And that's how it's actually worked out in practice.